I'd like to welcome to the show the star of the upcoming film from IFC Rent-A-Pal, Amy Rutledge. How are you today?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be on the show.
I am so thankful you came on. We talked a little bit off the air, but I can't rant and rave about this film enough. I will say before everybody kind of dives in, we are going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible because I want everybody to enjoy the film. But we're going to talk about the film a little bit here and there. But before we do, my favorite question to ask people, because it's a question I get asked often whenever, asked about reviewing film is, what is your first memory of movies? And maybe what's the first memory and maybe the first movie you remember seeing as well?
My first memory, I would have to say I was about 3 years old, and my grandmother, she's a musician, she's an incredible pianist, and we spent a lot of time with her growing up, and so she played for us The Sound of Music. And so that's like the earliest memory I possibly can remember. And so I would just like belt out the songs all the time, and I would line up my little stuffed animals and like Barbie dolls and like perform for them. And it was so magical. And that film for me was I think it's planted the seed for being an actress, even at that young age of 3 years old. That and Alf. Like I remember watching Alf.
Love Alf.
They had a movie, and that was one of my favorite things too.
I love it. I love it. So obviously what else made you kind of want to get into film and become an actress?
It's kind of one of those things that's hard to explain, really, because as far as I can remember, what I just mentioned, that memory is so strong and powerful for me. And it's like I knew right away that that's what I wanted to be and that's what I wanted to do. So that seed was planted pretty early on. And then my mom would always take us to see plays, and we go to Broadway and we'd watch movies all the time. All the 80s movies were like the best. So, it started from very early on for me.
That's awesome. So you're the star of the upcoming IFC film Rent-A-Pal, which is written and directed by John Stevenson. The film is set in 1990. A lonely bachelor named David searches for an escape from a day-to-day drudgery of caring for his aging mother. While seeking a partner through a video dating service, he discovers a strange VHS tape called Rent-A-Pal. How did the role in Rent-A-Pal come about?
For me, so I actually submitted myself. So I saw it on Actors Breakdown Services, and I just applied for it. And it was really interesting because I'm actually on the East Coast right now, even though I'm going to LA in January. But I was away for the weekend at ITV Fest, which is a pretty notable, I think they call it Catalyst now, but it's a pretty notable film festival up in Vermont, it was. And so I was talking to my director, and she was saying how she's from Colorado. And I was like, I've always wanted to go to Denver. I always wanted to check out Boulder. That night, I got home and I had a casting notice that I had that they requested me for an audition, and this film was being done in Denver, Colorado. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like the synchronicity was like, so it just like blew my mind. So I'm like, I have to audition for this. So we were away for the weekend, and I knew I had to wear those glasses. The glasses that I wear for my character, they're mine. And I was like, I cannot record this audition until I get home back in Jersey City from the weekend of being away at this film festival. I need those glasses to audition. And so I did, and they requested me for another tape. So I sent back another audition tape, which was funny because I had just come out of the hospital. I had like a pretty bad kidney infection, and I was there for a couple days, and I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. But it was like the deadline, the tape had to be in. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Screw it. Whatever happens, happens. And then finally, John had written me on my website. I guess he couldn't get in contact with me through this like casting database, and I was like, oh, they must really like me. Like he really took the time to like find my website, and
Absolutely.
so I started to get really excited, and I'm like, oh, this is like really great. That's a great feedback. And he Skyped with me, and it's really funny, but because before you and me jumped on the call, I haven't used Skype since then, and I
That's
saw
awesome.
the last message and the call was from him telling me that they chose me to be the role. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
A perfect little playback. So, all right.
Yep.
So for me, what are your thoughts when you kind of first read this script? Because it's
Yeah.
different, right? It's very a different film. It's not I mean, obviously it's set in the 90s, which I really feel like that kind of enhances the film a lot, but it's not your typical script that I think you would typically read from a day-to-day aspect within this world.
Right, yeah. So he sent me the script to see if I liked it. That was actually before they offered me the role. He's like, "Well, we want to make sure you like it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool. I'll read it." And I was actually working at a yoga studio, and I was just like working the front desk, and they were like in the classes doing their yoga, and I was reading the script, and I was like, "This is really cool. This is really interesting. This is nothing I've read before." And I love the 80s and the 90s. I think I already said that.
Absolutely.
And anything with
Same,
like
same.
tapes. Yeah, and they sent me over a mood board and I like the coloring and I like the just the costuming and I was like, "Oh, this would be so rad." And so yeah, and at the end, well, I can't like give this away. But there was one part in the movie where I was like, "Holy shit!" And I said it so loud, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm here in this yoga studio where people are like getting their chill on, and I'm like in the hallway, like I'm pretty sure they heard me, but I was just like blown away, and I'm like, "All right, I gotta do this film."
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about in my head, and it's like it's a very pivotal moment in the film. But for me, one of the things we talked about a little bit off the air before we jumped in was, for me personally, face to face right this second, and seeing some pictures of you in some other roles and stuff like that. You are completely transformed in this role, right? You don't really look like yourself. I know the role was meant for that, and I love the outfits, the glasses, the hair, because you're right. It puts you right in that era of the 90s. So take me through that. Like, what was that like, kind of transforming yourself into somebody? I know you do that a lot with acting, but this right here it felt like something different.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means so much to me. I think that's like the best comment any actor could ever hear, actually. I think so for me, it's always about, getting into the costumes, like really put me into that space. And I think kind of, hmm, I think with the glasses, that for some reason there's something like I'll intuitionally find something that sort of clicks for me, I guess I can say. And it's not really something I can say express like verbally. It's almost like a inner knowing, or I meditate a lot, and so I kind of every once in a while I have these kind of inspirations, and they don't come from myself. It's just something that comes, and it's quite beautiful actually. But the glasses, and I was like, she has to have. I just had this image already, and I don't know why or how, but I just did, and um, I knew she had to have like so I have naturally curly hair, and I was like, she has to have the curly frizzy hair, like she just has to.
Sure.
And so transforming that, and then also doing things. I worked with an acting coach actually. Her name is Pam Scott. She's really lovely. She's actually Julia Garner's acting coach, and she helped me through some things. And she actually gave me some cool exercises to do on my own, where I actually recorded my own dating tape.
Oh,
So
that's
like
awesome.
I did it in my own words as
For
me,
sure.
Amy. And it felt like so awkward and like weird, but like it was a perfect place to be put in for, that scene and that character.
Absolutely.
So she gave me a couple, skill like, uh little like assignments that I kind of did on my own. And then Lisa's a caretaker, and so she volunteers with seniors on her time off. So I was like, I don't really know what this experience is like, so I'm gonna go actually do it in real life. So actually, I do volunteer with New York Cares a lot, but I've never worked with seniors. So I signed right up, and I'm like, I have to make this real for myself. So
For sure.
I helped seniors with like their laptops and their phones and like electronics,
That's
and it was
awesome.
just the most meaningful. It was just so meaningful and beautiful, and connecting with this woman. She shared with me so many incredible stories. I will never forget it. So for that, I'm actually really grateful for the film to kind of give me that experience. So I'll really go the extra mile to sort of put myself in a position where like all the words that I'm saying are truthful for me.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you embody the character, and you can tell with the mannerisms, the role is as Lisa's she's shy, very reserved, very different, not as outgoing. And there's the scene, the scene that stood out to me the most outside the big one was at the bowling or the skating ring,
Yeah.
right? I loved it. The banter that you guys had, you and David had at the table was very, it felt real, it felt authentic. You know what I mean? It was two very awkward people who don't really do this much, and it felt, you got that vibe and you felt that vibe, which just kind of is a testament to both of what you guys put into the role. And exactly like you said, it's about making me, the viewer, believe what you are trying to sell. So I can appreciate, going the extra mile in that role.
Thank you.
So obviously, as I've said, I told you off the air, I just got done watching this for the third time. I like it just a little bit. I've seen 142 films that have been released in 2020, and this is easily my favorite film. But I will rant and rave it. Have you seen the film, right?
I have not.
Oh, you haven't?
I have not.
Oh my
I'm sure if I asked, I would be able to. But honestly, even filming this thing, there was so much synchronicity and magic around it, creating it. And I want to save it. I want to wait for the release day, and I want to watch it with my family because they mean so much to me. And I've been trying to do this, I've been acting for a very long time. And for this is like a very monumental stage for me. And so I want to wait. I want to be surprised and watch it along with like my family members at the same time.
Oh, that's well. Then obviously, I'll send you a message and we'll talk about it after you watch it. But for me, we're in a day and age where the originality, not to criticize Hollywood as a collective whole, there's some originality that comes out of here, but this is something different and unique that hasn't been made like this in forever. Can you take me through working with John? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I had full trust with him from the moment we Skyped, which that says a lot. I mean, I just, even talking to him face to face on Skype, I just knew he was someone that I wanted to work with. He was kind, he was compassionate, he was really excited and very humble and down to earth. And I was like, this is my jam. This is my people. And leading up to the film, I got a lot of emails from the makeup artist and the costume designer and Annie and Jimmy, the producers. And every single exchange was just filled with kindness and care and just respect. And I just right away, I'm like, this is amazing. And I can't wait to do this. And they flew me out there, which I was really grateful for. And they got me this beautiful apartment and they stocked the whole thing with, so I have like certain dietary restrictions. So I have to eat gluten, dairy free. And it's really annoying. And I always feel like really embarrassed to tell people because it's like, but I actually do have like issues. Like I really do, or else I'll be sick. But they stocked my entire fridge and pantry with like all these amazing like goodies, like gluten, dairy free pancakes and just like all this stuff. And like Annie put in they put in like stickers and like a water bottle and like just these beautiful little trinkets of appreciation. And that meant so much to me. I felt so valued and I felt so safe.
Absolutely.
And so I think I went off on a tangent. Can you repeat your question again?
No, just working with John.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're fine.
But that extends to everyone too. But John he is so fun. And he's got this like jovial, joyful energy about him that you just want to be around him. He's just so great, and he's just so creative. And I'm just so blessed that I have him in my life now. He's just such a good human being.
Yeah, obviously with him, this is a first time direction, right? You know what I mean? First time full feature role directed. For me, it's like he is the type of people that we need to set up this new wave of films for the next, decade or so. You know what I mean? We need more people like him. And I guess one more question before we transition to some other ones. Working with David, working with Brian Landis-Bolton. How was that? David,
I don't know if I've laughed that hard ever, I think, on set. He is so freaking funny. He's so talented. And at the same time, I believe he was doing a play at the same exact time. So he would like go from, and I think he teaches too. Like he's just like all over the place. And I don't know how he did it because he's in the entire movie with like all those lines. And I was just blown away by his talent, but also his ability to like, you know, joke around. And we had this connection instantly. He actually brought, from when I arrived, he brought me a bottle of wine. And I felt really bad because I don't drink alcohol. So I was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, maybe I should just take it and not say anything. But I'm like, I want you to have this or give it to someone else because I can't drink it. But like, to me, that meant a lot, you know.
For sure.
I don't think I've ever shown up to a set and another actor has like presented me with like a welcome gift, you know. So he's very kind and thoughtful, and he's just so freaking brilliant. Yeah, and I just had such a good time, especially in the scenes with him and Kathleen, who plays his mother.
Yep.
They're hysterical. They'll just put on this whole like musical show for everyone in between takes, and I'm just like sitting there like crying, laughing, and it was just
Which is hilarious because the tone of the film is very dark and it's
exactly
very, so
yeah.
it's funny to be like, you know, in between takes, you're, you know, you have a guy that's really going through some mental issues, and the next minute he's just like laughing and saying, "That's fantastic," though. But I'm obviously that sure that breaks up the mood of that intensity that you're getting there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I felt a great connection with him too because of that, because I think we had the same sort of kind of sense of humor, and we're kind of both like, you know, I don't want to say sick sense of humor, but like
I understand. Which for me, actually, it kind of enhances kind of the roles for me. You know what I mean? To understand that, you know, you guys are kind of more like just kind of goofballs. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
then you watch this film and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
like whoa. So for me, that's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Couple of
So
weirdos.
ain't nothing wrong with that. That's,
Mhm.
I mean, you got to be able to have fun, right? You know. So
Definitely.
all right. So what have you been able to do to maybe kind of keep up your drive during this quarantine? We're going through one of the strangest times in history, and as an actress, how has it been trying to be like on top of things and stay, I don't know, relevant or prevalent in the world of acting?
Yeah, I actually had to take some time just off. It was really hard on me, and I suffer from mental illnesses, and so for me, I really had to be careful and like really take care of myself, and that was my number one priority. So I meditate. I'm also a meditation teacher, so that saved my life. I was able to book a bunch of online virtual meditation jobs through different libraries and different companies, and being able to give back and to help other people feel better, especially in that time. It was not only such a great gift to be able to do that, but it also enhanced, you know, my own well-being as well,
Absolutely.
being able to help other people. So I took some time just to do that. And, you know, there was a lot of like general casting calls, and there was a lot of casting directors and managers and agents doing like live Instagram feed, and you know, you can connect, and it was kind of cool because they gave you their info, you can connect with them. So I actually made some pretty cool connections in that way with a couple pretty big casting directors out in LA. But there was a certain point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to trust that everything's going to work out. I know this film is coming out, and you know, I have nothing lined up right now, but you know, that can change in an instant. And so
Absolutely.
I'm kind of just took a step back, and I'm like, you know what? Everything's just going to work out. There's been a lot of silver lining for me in this. I mean, did you ever think you'd live through something like this? I'm
Absolutely not.
yeah.
Absolutely not. And that's the thing. You talk about the mental. For me, it's like I've been trying to stay so busy doing other things to kind of forget about it. Like for me, like it's always like going to the theater has always been a like a therapy session for me. You know what I mean? It
Mm,
really has. And not, I mean, finally getting back to go this past weekend. You know what I mean? I was saying tenant and stuff like that. It felt like, oh my God, I'm home. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's that home feeling. You know, but it is. It's very hard. It's nice to understand, you know, that you have to keep yourself, you know, you have to be number one. You know what I mean? You have to treat yourself that way. And it's, I know I've never in a million years thought I'd live through something like this, and it lasts as long as it did, and or did. It's still
Mm.
going on. You know what I mean? It's crazy, right? You know what I mean? It's weird. It's different. It's
It
unique. It's
Yeah, it is something, that's for sure. I'm like, I knew something was coming, but I thought maybe I'd be a lot older than
right.
this. And it's funny because I was starting to write my own web series, and it was a post-apocalyptic sort of dystopian world, and with sci-fi elements and mental illness, you know, undercurrents. And I'm like, well, now everyone is going to be writing that
Right.
sort of thing. So next year we're gonna get a lot of at the end of the world kind of films, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's going to be at least 98 quarantine film, 98 the world's coming to an end, and
Oh yeah.
virus films and so many other different things. Um, Speaking of films and stuff and TV shows, what have you been watching?
Oh, The Umbrella Academy over and over. Do you ever see it?
I saw season one. I didn't watch season two yet. I
Ah,
wasn't enamored by season one, so
wow.
maybe
It's so yeah, I don't know. I wasn't either.
okay.
In the first episode. And I was like, ah, whatever, you know. But then they do like that dance breakdown. I think We're Alone Now by Tiffany, that song. And then I was like kind of hooked. I'm like, oh, I need to finish
This is
watching
my
this.
jam.
Yeah, this is my jam. And then I'm hooked. I'm like, me and my family watched season 2, and then we watched season 1 all over again. And I think I love it because of the character Klaus. Like, I think his name is Robert Sheeran, and he's just phenomenal. And I just like I just think he's such a fantastic actor. And he plays that role so well. And so that like was really what drew me in. And then I kind of just fell in love with the characters. But I'm really fascinated and drawn into shows that I want to be in. So that's the kind of show that I want to be in, you know?
Absolutely.
That, and I liked Alter Carbon. So obviously I'm very big into like sci-fi, like dark, sort of gritty, you know,
Absolutely.
post-apocalyptic sort of thing. So
Absolutely.
I watched that. I started watching Unorthodox. I watched the first episode, which I really thought was fascinating as well. That actress is fantastic. But other than that, I don't think I really watched anything else. How about you?
I mean, obviously I'm Ozarks. I'm hooked on Schitt's Creek. I
Oh
watch
yes.
I
Sorry.
watched I watched Schitt's Creek from start to finish, and I've watched it I think start to finish maybe 3 times through this quarantine. It's just so good.
It is. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest comedic shows I think I've ever watched. So heartfelt and just
Exactly. I can't believe that I left that out. So that's like one of my all-time favorite shows. It's just I finished watching it before the quarantine ended, so I should probably watch that again. It's such like a feel good
oh my
like
God.
there's no really negativity in it. There's no, like violence. Like
Mm-mm.
it's just perfect.
It really is like the writing in it. It's like there's no play down to any of the characteristics. There's no play down to David's character that you see in every relevant character that's ever been, gay on television. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
okay. It's his parents are okay, and like just they're funny, and it's just
Mm.
heartwarming, and it's you cry, and then you laugh your ass off, and then you cry again, and
Yeah.
oh,
And
it's
like I
such a
think the funniest thing about it too is like they're so unlikable if you think about it,
oh my God, right?
but they're like jerks, you know, but like you just love them. And that is what I found that kind of blew my mind. I was like, what, these are like unlikable characters theoretically.
Exactly. They're
But
not good people. They're not.
no.
They do a great job of making you love them and invest in
Totally.
them. And then the bow that they put at the end of it was just, I was like, oh God, this is over. And then I
Yeah.
watched the documentary and then I was like, oh my God. And the bad thing about it is like they came, so I live in Nashville. So they had like a tour. They went on like a little tour together
Yeah.
and they came to Nashville like last year. I didn't care. Like I was like, I don't even know what Schitt's Creek is. And then I was like, oh my God, I could have went and seen them. Like this is
No.
yeah. So yeah. So I think back now, I'm like, oh, it is what it is. But
Maybe they'll come back around.
I need it to. It's a great show. I love it. All right, before we go, where can we find you on social media?
Oh yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Amy Rutledge 443. Do you want me to spell that out or
I'll put
so
if you want to, you can. I'll put it in the bio of this interview as
okay, yeah.
well.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that. So Amy Rutledge 443 on Instagram, and on Twitter, I have like 70 followers. I don't really tweet that much, but it's Amy M and then Rutledge on Twitter, and then I think I'm on Facebook as Amy Rutledge actress or actor. Yeah, Amy Rutledge actor on Facebook.
Perfect. Folks, please do me a favor and watch Rent-A-Pal. It comes out September 11th on VOD. I think it's coming out in drive-ins as well, some across the United States. So please check out that film and watch Amy just absolutely slay in this film, guys.
Thank